Hello, everybody. We're here with another fantastic episode of the Apex Coalition show for y'all. We're coming to y'all with a rather scratchy voiced host right now. I sound terrible. I'm conscious of that. But the good thing is that I'm joined by two people that don't have terrible voices right now. Lippy and Curn, how are y'all doing today?
I'm doing absolutely swell, ANF. I know that you don't want to admit it, but you've been the reason your voice is raspy is because you've been parading over in the dugout town hall with the rest of the boys, just rallying about how you have dethroned the keys of success to a even 500 record. So
Oh, man.
I'm
Yeah.
sure I'm sure it's been a nice rally over there with the dugout boys and Darius Slayton and the rest of the crew are just going crazy, popping bottles, watching replays. So good
Absolutely.
yard to you, ANF.
Yeah, that is another thing, Jack. He's taken a leave of absence after his defeat, so he won't be with us today. Um, so as these boys already know that we've already discussed, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through each team and kind of go over their last 2 weeks because we did miss last week. So we're gonna start with Ghali. First of all, I think it should just be given props. Ghali. I don't I don't know whose team, sans maybe Jack, who got more hate post draft than yours. And you're sitting here at 4-0, sir. You just deserve some congratulations. Before we get into his week 3 matchup and just kind of going over his team, do y'all have any praise to heap on Ghali?
At the end of the day, I mean, Saquon's looking very nice. Mixon, he's getting a lot of carries. It is a little scary that Mixon's hurt now. But Scary Terry, Kelsey, I mean, Mike Williams was the RB or wide receiver 2. Now he's the wide receiver 5 after 4 weeks. Chase has looked awesome. Flex is weak, but I mean, when you have Kelsey, when you have Mike Will, when you have Terry, Mixon, Barkley, Brady, it's the reason he's Jugger Jihad.
Yeah, he's had a very nice start. Very solid, realizable gains on the wide receivers. So you love to see that. Yeah, I mean the cheat code seems to be Kelsey, just because you have that anchor of like 15 plus points a week in your time position. It just you can make up so much room everywhere else. So.
He won this week and scored almost 120 with 15 combined out of Brady and Kelsey. That was a bad week for Jihad.
I know.
Scored 115. I mean, scary stuff there.
That is wild. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see Mixon's injury. I've seen lots of reports that, it's the same kind of foot injury that's kind of ailed him. So, it's kind of scary given that workload. So this could linger. So that would definitely dampen his spirits. But no, overall, very solid team, and I do not look forward to coming across this later on down my schedule.
So on my screen, I also echo everything y'all just said, but on my screen, I'm just going over his matchup with Hunter, who, he just squashed, and then this week he had this is his lowest scoring week, right? And it was a real nail biter with Kcoles, but he was able to bring it in. Excuse me, he was able to bring it in with Kcoles, and I think
not a ton to say with Ghali's team, to be honest. I mean, he's not a very high variance team. He doesn't make a lot of moves. I mean, it would take a very compelling trade to get him to move off his squad, especially given how productive it's been. I mean,
you gotta pay an 80% premium with Ghali. You gotta make Ghali think that 100% of the public likes his side, and then maybe another 20% because Ghali is very skeptical when it comes to.
He's very conservative. He doesn't trust anybody. He keeps his shekels close. So I mean, good start, Ghali. You play a run of your upcoming schedule. Dustin's got a pretty booming team. Henry. Neal's pretty decent. You face Lippy, Cornman. You face me. So you got some, an ANF. I mean, you got some difficult matchups coming up. But I think we'll just kind of see him stick with his same roster going forward for a little bit. And I think he'll probably ride the same roster, give or take some waiver ads through the end of the season, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that 4-0 start, making it look rough for the Devos and the Hunters, who are 2-2. 100 points back in PF. They're pretty much fighting for. Trade just
trade is
happened
completed.
live.
Live trade
Wow.
information. AJ Green for Jared Cook. He took that trade over my Dawson Knox for 69 fab.
I mean, I guess that's fun. That's a very I mean,
huge.
how much
trade.
airtime does this? How much airtime does this trade need?
We're on to Jack. So
Alright.
we just finished with Ghali's team, who's just brimming with goodness and success. Now a team that won all but one game last year has already lost 2 games this season, and it's week 4. Now, Curn, you've had the crown on your head before. You've had to come back to a season after winning. Talk us through what it would be like to be Jack right now.
I mean, you come out hot. You're the pretty girl in the room. You know, like you have all eyes on you. You feel good. You have lots of attention. You have the ring, and if really, as much as I don't know if Jack will ever admit it, but I mean, just at least from my experience, those losses, especially if you're not just continuing to kick ass, it hurts so bad. It's like, I mean, you can kind of say you're playing with house money, but like even the LSU, you know, like LSU had their historic season, and I like to use the excuse of like, oh, it's house money. We had the best season in the world, but like that subsequent season was so painful to sit through. It's just like because I was so used to, I was so conditioned to the succulent gravy every week. So it's like, I mean, he's probably still enjoying it. He's got a decent team. He's got a very high floor team. But I'm sure he's not too happy being 500 and looking at his upcoming schedule. I mean, lucky for him, he plays Monstar this week. I mean, he can't get enough to his mouth if you fucking pay for him. So he'll probably be back in the green after this week. I mean, but then he has a nice, delicious run against Kcoles, Dustin, Neal, Lippy, Cornman, and me. Not to toot my horn or anyone else's, but I think that's a very difficult stretch of plays. So, but he's probably still feeling good. He's still the reigning champ. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, that does stick with you all season, but give it a few more losses and we'll see how he feels. But it definitely doesn't feel great when you're not, you know, coming out swinging. And I mean, that's what held me for all those years, which kept my head inflated all those years. A&F was, even though I wasn't winning, I was constantly like in the mix, scoring like top 3 points. I mean, look, I led the league in scoring like back to back years at one point.
Nobody cares.
You know? But even so, it kept the taste good. If you're not competing at that high of a level after a champion season, it hurts. And I have seen that too. Last year, I fucking completely had a shitty year, and I was like top 5 in scoring, but that was trash. And I was, you know, anyway.
I mean, your team was horrible last year. I'm looking at Jack's matchup from week 3, and it really could easily be a 1-3 for Bevo because he was the lowest scoring victor week 3.
Oh, 93. Wow.
And Timo barely lost that game. Now, of course, we get to week 4, and that's where he ran up a true team of victors. Pat Mahomes was no match for Heineke. So, but you know, I will point out he was, I believe, the highest scoring loser this week. So it kind of balances out his real sneaky, cheeky win week 3. But my bench defense still outscored the Chiefs. That's awesome.
Let's be honest with Jack's team for a second. Jack, I know you're thinking this. It's why you traded for DJ Moore and Javonte last week. You're looking ahead to keepers. You know that keepers are going to be very important, and having the best keepers is very important. And DJ Moore for 14 is nice. Javonte for 39 could be very nice. And you're probably going to be a 6-8, 7-17. Probably miss the playoffs because of your PF, like Curn said, and then you'll focus on your keepers.
So I want to look at that. I want to look at that trade real quick, and we'll get to our trades in a little bit, Lippy. But this trade that Jack and Lippy did, it was this one right here in the middle for those watching. It's Lippy acquires Diggs, DJ Chark, and probably non-keeper Damian Harris, and trades away DJ Moore, the esteemed Ronald Jones, and Javonte Williams. Lippy, this looks like a really nice win now trade for you and a kind of like look ahead to keeperdom for Jack. Is week 4 too early to call for a Jack tank? Would that be out of line?
I mean, like I said, it felt like what Jack was trying to do, just get the keeper value before it kind of blows up.
Yeah.
Kind of sold low with the Damian facing Tampa and kind of his week. I mean, Damian versus Javonte rest of the season. I think I might prefer Damian.
I think I do too. I've been like everyone like the chalkiest play right now is probably going to be to go buy quote unquote Damian Lowe, but I mean, we know Lippy's already ahead of that. But I mean, like he ran like Damian Harris ran a lot of routes last week, and
especially without James White. Yeah,
without James White, like he didn't
There's
get a lot
be
of
better
targets.
games.
Oh, dude, he ran a lot of routes. It was very promising. He might be in like a workhorse role. Probably his troll to be. He might be a worthy keeper even at that price if he secures the backfield. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson might just be a meme at this point. I mean, I think, but I do love Javonte Williams. But I mean, this might be a sidebar conversation for another episode. But this is part of why I don't like the 2-keeper system. Is like I want to keep this league as much redraft as possible, and I hope the listeners can see this for what it's worth. But the fact that we can make these decisions, and good on Jack for doing it, but like I don't think that Jack is voluntarily trying to aim for keepers fully. I don't think he's quote unquote tanking. I think he does see immediate value in Javonte Williams and DJ Moore as well. But like just the fact that that's even an advantage you can even talk about in week 4, it puts a bad taste in my mouth. I really
agree. Completely agree.
I'll be here for the people if y'all really enjoy it. Like, this is not my league. This is our league. So if the general public likes this 2-keeper system, like, I'm cool with it. But, like, if we can just remember, like, let's try to keep it as current year as possible. I mean,
but Curn, at the end of the day, there's a very good chance DJ Moore and Diggs are exactly even rest of the season. DJ Moore absolutely is a great player.
Big doubt.
I mean, there's a chance. DJ Moore's very good.
You sold DJ Moore at the peak of what the heck, man. I mean,
I do love DJ Moore. And look, I'm not dogging Jack saying he's tanking at all, but I'm just saying it's
something to keep in mind.
I don't necessarily care for the advantage there because, I mean, like, I got a pretty good advantage going into this year with that. And, I mean, like, it was cool, but, I mean, like, I could never have drafted the team I have just, like, in a redraft format based on that. I mean, I'd rather have as close to a fresh restart every year with one keeper. But that's just my sidebar with all this. I mean, like, like when you're trying to trade with Monstar right now, like, he's locked in his position of, like, I'm not trading any of these guys. Like, I'm keeping Najee Harris next year. He's the next CMC. Like, that's fine, but, like, it just adds an element where I'm just like, it's kind of annoying. It just might be a personal thing.
It's gross.
It might be a personal thing, but whatever.
I agree. But I also don't hold it against people for doing it. Like, I mean, fuck, I picked one year. Like, if the system is in place, you need to maximize what you can do with the system. So
absolutely. And I think Javonte Williams is, like, awesome. He's a talent I really liked coming out of the draft. And Trey Sermon, I mean, I liked him in the draft. I mean, we'll keep, he and I keep going back and forth, trolling each other on it. But I mean, he's getting carries. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe those are 2 awesome keepers you can go into next year with. And they probably do return decent value this year. So, I mean, I think Lippy and Jack made a solid, pretty fair trade there.
Well, let's go into his tied at 2-2 and his division mate Hunter, who is literally, right there with him in points for, tied in record. Hunter got a really nice, easy street win against Monstar this week. He plays me this week. Dropped one to Ghali, who just went bananas on him. What do you think about Hunter's team going forward? There's a little bit of injury concern going on.
So the thing with Hunter's team here is that he just refused to get Madison or Alex Collins in his life. He thought it was necessary to have Jaquiz Patrick, Mark Ingram, Sammy Watkins in his life. I mean, Hunter, he laughed at me after the draft when I tried to get Madison and trade a Madison, but kind of looks like Cook may be injured still. He's going to have a nagging injury all year. Yeah. He doesn't have Alex Collins. I have him. You have Madison now. Hunter?
I do have Madison now. I got him in a trade. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, this Hunter
Like we
business is a
said
little
with
tough.
Tebow. I mean, you're chasing Ghali. You're not going to win this division in a day. He's 100 points back in PF, 2 games, so he's essentially 3 games back after 4 weeks. You're not
And
catching
not to
Ghali.
dog on the Timo and T-Less, but he played them both in his schedule. So I mean, those teams have been as close to rough as you could possibly get. And I'm sure they'll rebound, but you know, his opening 4 weeks, he's gotten 2 wins under those 2 players. I mean, those are his only 2 wins, I think.
He's going to need some big weeks to get that PF
So he's
back
got
up to like.
he's got a very tough schedule ahead of him, and I mean, this is kind of the game you play with these running back heavy teams, and I've been here streaming wide receivers, and it definitely works. These guys hit. He needs Dalvin Cook to get healthy, and he needs Echo to keep pumping. Chris Carson experiment. I'm sorry, dude. This guy fucking blows. I'm just not here for it. He breaks down. I'm just not a Chris Carson fan. I just don't. I've never really saw it. He plods. He runs very aggressively. He's old. He's going to break down. He's already breaking down. I mean,
I will not be commenting on Chris Carson today. So if you're looking
look,
for
that's
comments
fair. But
from me,
all I'm saying
I'm
is
not.
now, based on the narrative of like now I have 3 stud RBs. He's now got 2 stud RBs, which is nice. But in Jefferson, but he's going to need. I mean, he's got a pretty good balanced team. It's just he needs Dalvin Cook to get healthy.
And he has no tight end. And he's right now, if you just go off wildcard teams, so non-division leaders, he's the 5th place out of them. I mean, he's got a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, he needs Dalvin Cook to go back to being like he needs Dalvin Cook to be a top 3 running back. He needs Echo to keep being a top 5 running back. And I mean, if Jefferson can keep being a wide receiver 1 and he gets those boom weeks from Brown and Rodgers keeps being a top 5 quarterback, I mean, he'll win some games and he'll compete. But it's definitely an interesting lineup. And I mean, he has room for trades right now. He's got a lot of marketable pieces. He could break down one of those running backs. He could break down Jefferson. So he's got mobility, so that's good. But yeah, tough division to be in. I mean,
It is a tough
Jack's
division.
got a very high floor team to where like if cheat code goes off and if like Trey Sermon falls in the end zone, then like suddenly Jack's scoring like 130 points and like at the worst with the wide receivers with the quarterback he has, he's scoring like 110 or 100 a week at like the worst. So I mean, a very conservative team, but to compete with that, you need to really be kicking ass, and he's already behind. And
I mean, or just
have
Taylor Heineke. You can just have Taylor Heineke and win too.
You could just have Taylor Heineke and beat the cheat code, but I mean, you know, Hunter's a stubborn goon. You know, he's stubborn. So it's a tough division to be in with Ghali. So it's
and
definitely tough.
Hunter's like Ghali. He doesn't trade unless it's an absolute slam for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, both of they're tricky folks to trade with. That's an established fact.
And he has no depth either, which sucks. His bye weeks are coming up.
Well, I mean, that's what if you were to trade, I feel like he would maybe break down one of those running backs with like Marvin Jones for like quite a few quality pieces. So,
oh sure, yeah.
Timo, my friend, I feel like we did you a supreme disservice by calling you this year's litmus test because I feel like we must have jinxed you, buddy. Because I mean, when I look at this team, y'all, I mean, other than the RB2 spot, I don't even think it's bad. Like, I feel like he's gotten pretty unlucky at just about every turn. The depth on the bench looks worse and worse as the year goes on, but these starters I feel like should have more than one win. He came within what, 1.5 last week of beating Jack. You know, unfortunately, Dustin clocked him for 20 this week, but I mean, like y'all are saying, it's a tough division. The wild card race looks really close this year. I don't want to put any nails in any coffins because, as we've seen in the past, there's always some fuck magic that can happen. But what's the prognosis for Tebo's team?
You hit the nail pretty well on the head, sir. I mean, kind of jinxed them. I mean, we're all hyping this team up. Tunyon's hurt him. Robbie Anderson's hurt him. Pittman's kind of hurt him. He hasn't been spectacular. Same with Brown. And, I mean, Ayuk's been a failure. I mean,
yeah.
Lamb and Kamara have been fine. Dak's been meh. So, just kind of a mediocre year all around for his players at
Gus
the end of the
Edwards
day.
got hurt. He dropped like 35 on Gus Edwards. He got hurt. He had Jerry Jeudy. He got hurt. He traded a nice, decent chunk of change for Kamara. And I mean, as someone who owns Kamara in a dynasty league that's currently not won a single game, it's like Kamara hasn't done what Kamara does. And I mean, he had 20 points last week, but I mean, you're paying for Kamara to be a top 2, top 3 running back, and I mean, he's been an RB2 through 4 weeks right now, and he's not catching a lot of passes. And Saints' offense looks really shitty right now. CeeDee Lamb needs to get on the field and start doing wide receiver 1 things. I mean, yeah, I feel like tougher. I feel like good days are ahead for Mr. Timo. Let's see what his schedule looked like. Yeah, he played obviously Ghali. I mean, he faced a good bit of points. I mean, he's faced at least 120 points in 3 of his 4 matchups. That sucks, but he hasn't topped 100 but once. So I mean,
Timo faces Kcoles and me week 5, 6.
Yep, and he's got
then Neal, then me.
The problem,
then
that's rough.
He's got Kamara at Washington this week, and then Kamara's on bye.
I've thought about reaching out to him to get CeeDee Lamb. Like he's a that's risky too because I mean, like that's looked like God, holy Zeke! Zeke's just come back to total form. I couldn't have guessed it. You color me completely wrong about Zeke. Holy shit, they're running the ball 30 times a game with Zeke. I mean the passing volume is
pretty good.
I mean, so like when the passing volume's down that much and you're running with Zeke, I mean, and you have Amari Cooper and you're throwing the ball to Dalton Schultz, I mean, maybe CeeDee Lamb's not a top 10 wide receiver like we had kind of hoped, So I mean, I think better days are ahead for him. He'll definitely win some games, but I mean, it sucks. But I mean, sometimes you have these shitty starts. I will say there was one year where I've lost 4 straight and 1. We don't like to talk about it, but
I mean that's what I'm saying.
That was before it was a money league.
That was before it was a money league. So I mean, no one's really paying attention.
You're getting on people's laptops for trades, Curn. Everyone knows that was you.
Well, look, all I'm saying is there's a possibility for a turnaround. So I mean, don't lose your hope. And again, I don't want to jinx anything, but if we start tanking for keepers this late in the season, I mean, another annoyance for keepers. But luckily for him, I think he doesn't have a ton of equity to really shell for really creating a bunch of messing up parity in the league. I mean, he could trade Kamara and CeeDee Lamb for a haul, but I mean, like,
Timo,
he can do a lot.
Curn, don't listen to this. Timo, if you ever want to fuck up league parity, you just give me a quick DM, and we can make something happen with Kamara. So,
yeah, I mean, he's got a tough sled ahead. He's in tough waters. He's got to make some trades, or just hope that he bounces back and gets some positive regression.
All right, let's move in to this next division, Kcoles 69 quarter. Dustin.
Beautiful division.
Dustin, man. Great fucking start, dude. Awesome to see you sitting at 3-1.
Look at the fuck boy. Look at the fuck boy with third most points. With the third most fucking points in our division, just sitting there with his lucky little start.
No,
fuck you, Dustin.
No, I'm so happy for Dustin,
boy,
man.
You and your fuck boy, Derrick Henry bullshit. Derrick Henry bullshit, and he faces 80 points and 104 points. Boo. Boo to Dustin. I'm just kidding. I'm proud of you, Dustin. I'm proud of you, Dustin.
Curn, I think it's worth pointing out he has more points against than you do. I think that's pretty interesting.
I mean, does he really?
Yeah, he does. See. Dustin has 463 against. You have a mere 450.
Well, I think that was from the colossal. That's the colossal Kcoles fuck down he faced week 1. You'll have that.
I mean, Dustin's team. The only thing I can really think of as a note here is, I mean, I think his starters are great. Allen Robinson. The Bears look really bad. I'm starting to think that maybe the Justin Fields emergence might not happen this year because I'm thinking he might not be ready to be a starter yet.
I think the Bears. This is part of why I was like kind of fading Fields. I just don't trust Matt Nagy. I think the Bears just suck, and I mean, I hope Justin Fields has a great career. I think he'll bounce back, but like through 4 starts, he's been under a horrible game plan, getting eaten alive. Matt Nagy's a troll. He's now coming out saying that he might start Nick Foles over him. Like, talk about, like, if you could find every way to not invoke confidence in your first round quarterback, like, I think he's hit every single check mark. So, I mean, hopefully he comes out. I think he's a sick athlete. I think they'll bounce back and be good. But I think
Let me let me real quick hop in here. I just sent y'all some a graph on your phone. If y'all could look at that and just kind of tell me where you think Allen Robinson's career is going for the next 3 years. I want to hear y'all's thoughts.
Oh, perfect. All right, Lippy, you could talk about the many things of Dusty and Allen Robinson and his team. Well, I guess I'll hop in here and do it. So I think, I mean, Dusty, look, I came in hot. I love you. I think it's dope you're first in the division. You've come a long way. You joined the league after a strange circumstance where you were kind of tossed in. You had like 5 quarterbacks that were drunkenly drafted on your team. You lost a whole lot with that team because you were kind of given to it. So, I mean, you've come a long way, and you were blessed with these beautiful keepers and gave you a really solid chunk of change to start with. Allen Robinson, as someone who owns him in another league, it is so sad because this poor dude was quarterback proof for so long. And I mean, he's just like quarterback proof for so long. Like, you know, like Blake Bortles, Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky. Who else? Like, I mean,
Oh shit! You can't hear me. I was muted.
you're muted. Yes.
Wow, I'm a
No
dumbass.
worries. But
Curn, but why though? Because Mooney just had 120 yards. It's gonna click. Allen Robinson is still a top 10 receiver in the game. If you're gonna go down the list at the end of the day, I mean, maybe he's not a wide receiver 1, but he's still high end 2, mid 2.
I would completely agree with that, Lippy. Absolutely.
I mean, talent-wise, yes. Talent-wise, dude, he's a stud. He's a dog, but like, he's
Still get him
not
the ball.
demanding. He's not demanding the target share he's getting, and I mean,
You're not going to convince me he fell off a cliff at 28. I believe in the talent.
I believe in the talent. I just like I just don't believe in what they're just not giving him anything right now. Like, I mean, you can't start him. I feel like you can't start him with much more confidence outside of like a back end RB2, like wide receiver 2 right now. Like, I mean,
So here's the thing though, Curn. When you look at this division, there's 3 teams at the top: you, Garrig, and Kcoles. You guys are all going to have to face each other again. You're also going to have to face CMC and Cornman. But the thing is, CMC has a Week 13 bye, so that's Kcoles who gets Cornman without Christian McCaffrey guaranteed. It's going to be a hell of a finish in that division.
Yeah, that looks like a very unhappy place to be come the second round
Especially,
of division games. Absolutely.
Yeah, and PF is also close. I mean, whew,
oh yeah, no, definitely,
it's going to be an intense finish.
Yeah, I mean, like having Derrick Henry is really cool because that gives you such a. I mean, he's so good at football. I mean, he just continues to do big boy shit. I mean,
and then he's still got Devontae Adams. Any week, Henry and Adams put up 70 in a heartbeat, and then all of a sudden Tannehill's got him at 100, and he's still got 7 players to go. I mean,
he's got a really good team.
Dustin's going to get to 7, 8 wins, and probably 8 wins easily, and then he's going to have to fight for that 9th win in division play. That might be the division winner. 9 wins might get it done.
I do like indicating that one of, and I hate to dog on Timo, but one of his wins was Timo, and that's what I'm looking at when I'm schedules. I'm looking at like these bottom, and I hate to say bottom tier teams, but teams that haven't started that hot. You know how have y'all's records look against those teams? And I mean, he's 3-1. One of those wins did come against a very deflated Timo team right now. He faces King Jihad. He faces Goon, the floor of Bevo. He gets a nice Monstar Mafia holiday. And then back to the Buttermaker boys, Lippy, Neal, and then he gets Kcoles, me. And I mean, any way you chop any of our schedules, it's probably not going to look that great. Yeah, I mean, you're in a tough division, Dusty. You got a nice lead right now. I can't really dog on you for the Derrick Henry bailout because Tyreek Hill kind of bailed me out last week. So I guess that's why you own this.
Yeah.
That's why you own those players. But I mean, you own those players so they can bail you out. So I mean, good on you. But I mean, I still think at the end of the day, I got the better squad, and I'm still coming for that ass.
That sounds like me talking about Neal. I was so pissed after I lost him. I was like, "Nah, I'm getting your ass next time."
Oh yeah.
But By the way, thank you, boys, for the breakdown on Allen Robinson. Much appreciated. I want to move in now to talk about Kcoles' team. And before I go into his record, he is 2-2. I want to start with this trade he did with Lippy.
Ooh.
Kcole trades away Thielen, Kittle, Boston Scott, and Miles Sanders for Logan Thomas,
Oh, yeah.
Zeke, Debo, and Pollard. I think we had already talked about this one on the previous show's episode, but I just think it's really
Kcoles
interesting.
smashed that trade.
I just think it's interesting not because I want to point out, some of these assets didn't do as well as people thought they would, but I think it was just such a slam dunk for Kcole, and I just think it's worth revisiting because I really like his team going forward. I know he lost to Ghali this week with a kind of lackluster score, but I really just like what Kcole's got on his squad right now.
If you
Minus the
replace the
flex.
Sanders with J-Rob, I think we're talking a different story. That Sanders, man, back-to-back ugly week.
Yeah.
Just heartbreaking that they don't use him.
I mean, it's Philadelphia, man. It's a fucked up organization for running backs. Ever since LaShawn McCoy left, man. But he's got a loss this week to Ghali, which, I mean, let's be honest. I think just about everyone at the end of the year is going to be able to say they lost to Ghali. He had a beautiful victory over Curn, where Curn lost quite badly and terribly, which was wonderful. What do y'all? I mean, I feel like this division, we have discussed it already to an extent. Like I think Kcole and Curn both have similar teams in one aspect, and that is that y'all can both blow up and just have unstoppable weeks that are not matchable by like a normal week from a team.
Oh yeah.
But kind of the same thing we were talking about with Dustin just now. This is going to be this is going to be the dugout finish that Jonah had and I had a few years ago, the first year of those divisions, where I think it's going to be really down to the wire, and a lot of different matchups will have lots of different implications. I guess to kind of group y'all's playoff situation together, Curn, what are your thoughts on y'all's two teams' fates going forward?
I mean, his team's been booming. I mean, when someone's team has players that are just going off consistently, it's there's going to be a cool down. I mean, like, I love Deebo Samuel more than the next guy. I mean, I gotta say, like, the 70-yard blown play, I liked, like I danced around Trey Lance a lot with that, like rubbing it in Neal's face. But I even knew, like, you couldn't have blown that coverage more. I mean, A&F, you could have made the throw.
But
And
it
I
keeps
mean,
getting blown. I don't know.
I just, like, I see his big games. There's no way Deebo Samuel will be the wide receiver 3 at the end of the year.
That would
I
be
don't
pretty
think James
crazy.
Robinson.
Curn,
I
I'd
don't
say
think James
Debo's probably a
Robinson-
top 7 finish end of year lock.
Deebo Samuel, top 7 end of year finish.
He's a double-digit fantasy producer every single game he's ever played. He had a foot injury last year before the season that you were saying never heals right the first time, and then he had an injury-riddled season. He played like 7 games last year. Rookie year, he played all 16 games. The guy puts up double digits. If you're telling me the rest of the year he puts up double digits every game with 2 games, 3 games in the mid-20s, he's probably in a top 5 RB.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I love Deebo Samuel. He's a fan favorite of mine. He's a big beefy boy. I feel like there's other players that will finish ahead of him that haven't gotten going, and I can't see myself going, like, just look at the next year's draft and being like, Deebo Samuel is a top 7 wide receiver. I just can't, like, it's like Cooper Kupp. Like this reminds me when like I remember like Marvin Jones started out with like Matthew Stafford one year when he was like the wide receiver 3 through like 4 weeks. And someone was offering me the most ridiculous trades for him, and this was years ago, and like I was like, nah, like I got the new top end guy. Like these guys always cool off. Like there's a reason.
He finished
Like,
as the
you
wide
can't fade these
receiver
rankings
11
this far
that
into
year.
it. I just can't like at all think that like he's going to be this high of a player every week. But I mean, and I just don't really care for James Robinson too much. I mean, he's got.
Oh, I
He's gotten
see.
to-
I think James Robinson might be there to stay.
He's Chris Carson, Curn.
I
It's
think-
Chris Carson and Rashad Penny again.
I mean, I think ETN's only had 1 year injured, so I mean, I'm not going to write him off yet. But I mean,
They only picked ETN because of Trevor Lawrence.
yeah, but I mean, maybe so. Maybe hey, look, maybe he is the guy.
At least for this
You should-
year, I think he's going to be really good.
Now he's got a really good team. I mean, it's so annoying. He's just going to start DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk and like win games. Like
It's going to be a hell of a finish in that division.
Just
I don't think
annoys
a
me.
wild card team gets out of that division
I
because
mean,
you
he
guys are
starts
going to beat each other up.
I mean, like I think that he's relying, but my point is like he's relying on Murray and Debo and Hopkins. I mean, he's got 4 studs. I mean, like I can't dog on it too much. I'm trying to find holes because I'm his competitor, obviously. But I mean, like it's a very good team. It's a very good team. He's got a lot of He's got a lot of depth. I mean, having Pollard and Sanders on the bench is dope. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how bye weeks hurt him. I think
It's gonna be a good finish.
Yeah, it'll be a good finish for him. I mean, he's what does schedule look like going forward right now? He's got to face he plays Timo, so that's a nice little bye week. Plays Devo.
He just faced Ghali, didn't
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got Ghali behind him.
He's got Ghali behind him, so I mean,
he? He still has to face me though. He still has to face you
He's got
again. He's gonna have to face Dustin again. He's gonna have to face. He doesn't have to face CMC again, unless CMC gets traded. So that's nice.
Yeah, he faces me in week 14 where JT's on bye. So
he faces Hunter when Hunter has Dalvin Cook.
Wow.
Eckler,
can we talk about Lucky?
And Justin Jefferson on bye, and Marvin Jones on bye.
So you're telling me he gets Cook, Eckler, CMC, and JT all on bye? I mean,
wow.
Yeah,
that's a nice week 7 for you, Kcoles. That's pretty. Oh, but then week 8 he goes against a true apex competitor here. Curn, we've talked about Kcoles' team now. I want you to kind of take it away. We've broken down your division a couple times at this point. What do you have to say about your team for the past 2 weeks and what's happening going forward?
I mean, this is what it's all about. I mean, I had a very cooled off week last week or 2 weeks ago in week 3. You'll have that with the team I kind of built. And then I came back strong this week and had a nice little boom that kind of got me in the green again. So now I'm 500 going into a Neal matchup that I feel pretty good about. So I mean, I really like my team. I like the setup I have. I love the depth I have going into bye weeks. I love how Lamar Jackson is like throwing the ball for like 250 yards a game consistently. He needs
back to back 300-yard games, sir.
I mean, so I feel like you look at his game log, and he has 2 rushing touchdowns through 4 weeks, and only 1 touchdown every week through week 4. Like, this dude's gonna fucking explode. I'm convinced. You can't convince me otherwise. It's going to happen. My cheat code needs to go off. Maybe it happens in week 5, but he needs to have like a 2 touchdown throwing game and like a 50-yard rushing game. I deserve it. But yeah, I mean, like I think with the team I have, A&F, I think luckily the team I built is such a high ceiling team that I can compete with these very strong teams in my division. I mean, I'm glad I don't have a floor team built where I have I'm glad I have running backs that can catch passes, that can have boom weeks. I'm glad I have wide receivers that can go off. I'm glad I have a quarterback that can go off, and experimental tight end that hasn't gone off but is getting usage. I mean, like I think I have a lot of boom. On the Lamar Jackson bye week, I have my other cheat code that can help me out. So I mean,
that was what I was going to ask you, Curn. Why aren't you starting Jalen Hurts, or why haven't you traded him away?
Well, there's some people I want to trade him to, but I'd like to wait till I move past
Monstar.
I'd like to wait till I move past them in my schedule before I move them on. And there's also a high EV move to, let's say I traded to Monstar. There's a high EV trade there, A&F, where I trade to him, and then he faces, Cornman, Dustin, and Kcoles next week. So, and I'm past him. So,
Curn, I'll trade you Heineke straight up for him.
Oh, not at all. I mean, look, like talking about keepers and all this bullshit and cheat codes and shit. I mean, he's $1. And I've never been the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. He's always kind of been, he started 4 games last year. He's kind of a late round, like a late first round quarterback. He that can he throw the ball accurately. He plays for a shitty offense, but I mean, he's like the quarterback 4 or whatever through 4 weeks. And I mean, look, if he wants to ride on my bench and continue to gain steam, then maybe I'll just keep him next year for $1, and that'll be a fun thing to go into the year with. Who knows? I don't know,
Curn, I'm looking
but
at.
yeah, I mean, like
I'm looking at your bench here, Curn. I'm sorry to cut you off.
you're good.
Your backup running backs are really, really bad.
He has 2 running backs.
What are you gonna do? In the hypothetical situation that week 9 comes around and DeAndre Swift is on bye. What would you do in
Well,
that hypothetical situation?
I believe
L.
that Elijah Mitchell is a
L.
startable L.
You're going to lose.
I mean, maybe. I mean, look, like I won this week and he got me 6 points. So I mean, I think that's the problem. Is like I think that I've built a team where
Wow.
I can cushion myself on those weeks if I have to.
Week 9, your DeAndre Swift bye week is your Ghali week. That's interesting.
He's going to lose.
Well, I mean, let's look at that week. Who's Ghali gone by? Is he fully stocked? Is he ready to roll?
No, he doesn't have McLaurin and Brady, but
It won't matter.
He doesn't have McLaurin and Brady. I mean,
He still has Kelsey.
Yeah,
he
but
still has
you've
Saquon. He still has Mixon. He still has Mike
you've
Williams.
got Lockett on bye too, Curd. That's going to be an interesting week for you. Very interesting week.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've got.
I don't think anyone's pulling away in that division. I also don't think whoever the wild cards out of that division. So it's just going to be a dogfight all year there.
I think unless you have Neal pull ahead, I mean, he's got the lead right now. I don't think
he gets Monstar and Timo.
I mean, sure, but I mean, I just don't like. He's got to face everyone in my division. He's got to face everyone in your division.
And you're saying he's not. I mean, he goes 500 against your division. That gets him 5 wins. Timo and Monstar gets him to 7, so he needs to find one more win to get to 8.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. We'll talk about his team when we get there. I mean, I just don't really. I mean, I'm not a believer in the Cordell Patterson. Again, like I'm not buying the fact that Cordell Patterson's a top 10 running back. Like you're not going to convince me of that shit. He ran 12 routes last week. Like I'm not buying that shit. But yeah, very competitive division. We'll see what happens. I mean, I've yet to make one trade yet. I've been known to make several trades during the year. This is usually the time I think about it. All these questions you bring up, A&F, this is usually when I start to look ahead and think about these things. So, I mean, I think I have a lot of assets that can be moved if I need to. That's what I also like to have is I have a lot of nice name brand players that if given any emergency, I think I can make some flexible moves.
You should trade for AJ Brown, Kevin. Consolidate for AJ Brown.
I do like AJ Brown a lot. I mean,
I would accept Smith and Woods if you sent it right now.
Yeah, I really like Smith a lot, and that's the problem, Lippy, is I was thinking about it, and I mean, if I was like Neal with 3-1, and if I was like Jihad 4-0, I'd have more comfortability waiting on a guy to get healthy right now. But I mean, I do need these wins right now, so I mean, I gotta think of something where we'll talk. I mean, like, I'm open to it. I like Smith a lot. We'll see. I gotta think about it. But yes, I definitely think I'll make more transactions. I mean, yeah, I can talk about my team all day. I don't know. I mean, what do you think, ANF?
Well, I think that the real problem is just how much of a gauntlet your division is. Now let's bring it to someone who's currently behind in the gauntlet standings. We've got Jonah at 1-3. It's going to be so hard for anyone to win this division. I know it's a really easy shot because he's in last right now. I mean, even though it's only a 1 game behind, but I'm very interested to see what happens to CMC when he comes back. I think that if everything's just fine, he's got a real shot. But if CMC's not fine, or they reduce how much they use him, I think Jonah could really maybe fall really far behind because this could be a problem for him. What do y'all think?
I'm going to say exactly what I told Jonah earlier when we were talking. He should trade for Chubb from me. I will tank this week. He can beat me. Well, probably beat me. And then he gets Timo and Monstar. He's 4-3, and he has a chance at playoffs. if he doesn't do that, he's going to lose to me this week and be 1-4. Without CMC, maybe another week, he's probably 1-5 or 2-5 after week 7, and he's out of the playoffs. He's got to figure out something to win this week. At the end of the day, he's got to get to 4-3. I don't know whether it's trading with me or someone else. Open in. He should figure something out.
Yeah, being 1-3 in our division, especially. I was very nervous last week. Just like if Lippy beats me and I go 1-3, you would see me. I would have made 3 trades already because that's like you just have to. You have to move fast. Like if you don't move fast, then you're gonna fucking find keepers and tank for keepers, which is absolute horseshit. But another thing, So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like I'd be making moves fast. I'd be trying to do something because it's just not working. I mean, it's been 4 weeks. You should have won at least 500 games, or at least be 500 in your record. You can come back from it, but like in a division like ours, I'm not even comfortable being 2-2 in my division. So I mean, I like Keenan Allen. He's got good quarterbacks. He's got he's got RB depth, I guess. But I mean, I don't know how far. That's the thing is like RB depth. I mean, like this is great, but I mean, like if you plug in Melvin Gordon or, I mean, like it just. These guys aren't going to pull you ahead too far.
He has so many
the Melvin and
running backs he can start.
That's the thing is like, yeah, like on DeAndre's fifth bye week, I'll call Jonah and trade him like Laviska Shenault for like Melvin Gordon or some shit to start him for his 5 points. Like these guys are very replaceable. They're not.
I mean, Jonah's got James Conner in his lineup this week. If Mike Evans has a bad game, Jonah might score 80 points.
Yeah, I mean it's
he's got to figure out a way to win this week. I don't know how he does.
Starting James Conner is never something anyone should do. That's a tough one right there.
Yeah, it's very similar to starting Cordell Patterson and hoping that he gets 5 touchdowns. It's just, I mean, he's the goal line back, but I mean, it's a very, very low ceiling play or low floor play to do. God, let's stop talking about my fucking division. It's depressing looking at it. I hate being in these tough divisions. I'm going to happily next division draft. I'm going to dance my way to wherever fucking Monstar is and just make a little mess there. Fuck y'all.
I've been in Monstar's division 2 out of 3 years, and I would just like to say, Monstar, it is always a pleasure. You are an absolute gem to try and trade with and to play games with. So, let's move on. Lippy sits atop our division, or I say ours. I mean the division that the two of us share. With Neal at 3-1, Monstar sadly at 0-4, and I'm the lone 2-2 candidate there. Lippy and I had a series of trades. I want to start by talking about those because I feel like they have.
I just like to start by saying something, sir.
Yeah.
Some trades may be good, some trades may be bad, and like everyone always says, it's the sheer amount I do kind of evens it out no matter what. At the end of the day, the bad ones. I mean, I have good ones, I have bad ones.
Right.
Right now, if I would have not made a trade this week, I would have scored 96 points. Or 98.5 or something, and I scored 99 with all the trades.
You ended up winning.
And
that's the trade points, I mean. Unfortunately,
I didn't expect Miles Sanders to suck so bad. And even though Monty got hurt, and I mean, we expected Curn to be out.
Anything about that,
Claypool getting hurt in practice on Friday kind of sucks.
A freak accident, yeah.
But I have the depth. I have 3 startable running backs. I have Nick Chubb as my RB1. I still have Diggs. I have A.J. Brown when healthy. Cooks is kind of nice. Losing Kittle sucks, but Gronk will be fine. I mean, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yeah,
Go through all of them. I mean, it's an interesting ride, and I can see where people have questions in there. Like the Chubb trade, we'll get to it.
Yeah, let's start with the one you did with Jack. We already kind of went over it, because there was so much Lippy movement over the last 2 weeks.
It was all in one day. It was very fun.
You're kind of like the human Flash. You're just a blur sometimes.
It gave me a ton. It gave me a ton of like, I guess, like a nice little like. I know Lippy didn't do it for this reason, but it made me feel nice because I was like, all right, my matchup with Lippy, he just dropped like 180 points. He's projected like 140, and I don't know enough. Maybe I intimidated him so much with my potential boom. He just made like 5 trades.
It ended up being the right move, Curn. It did end up being like I'm gonna eat AJ Brown being out. I'm gonna eat Gronk being hurt and trading away Kittle because I didn't expect the Claypool and Monty, obviously.
You did get
But
you got shafted by injuries.
But I mean, we still have Damian Williams. We have a fine backup tight end, and we'll be okay. We're 3-1. We have the second most points for in the league.
And you've got a nice stack. The Josh Allen Diggs stack will start to come to fruition a little more.
With Chubb, with Monty or Damian Williams, I mean, we'll be okay.
Yeah, most importantly, you're almost 100 points ahead of Neal, and you're 3-1. And I mean,
100 points is a lot.
It's a lot of points to be ahead. I mean, I think you have a better team than Neal's. No offense to Neal. I think that A&F has a very compelling team too, but like you are a game behind them, A&F, and I mean you are 100 points behind them as well. So
so realistically, 2 games.
Those points really suck to get against because it's like, I mean, y'all will go back and forth and probably have the same record for multiple weeks at a time, but the fact that like you need to outscore him by 20 points or 25 points over like 4 games.
Have some bad weeks.
Yeah, you need Lippy to have some bad weeks, and he's not going to have bad weeks because Lippy's very liquid.
I'm very happy with the depth we ended up with because I mean, at the end of the day, we just made another trade. We got receivers on the bench. We can live without AJ Brown for a while. We can live without Gronk, and we're going to live without Monty.
More importantly, A&F, let's be real. Take a good look at Lippy's team right now because it's not going to look like this in 2 weeks. I mean, he's a very liquid man.
It might not look like this tomorrow.
He plays the market extremely well. Lippy does amazing redrafts for this.
Yeah.
And
his team changed like from the time we started recording to now.
He'll find a way. Like watch, like I bet Damian Harris. Like who's he played this week? He plays Houston.
He has a juicy matchup. Curn. I can't trade him this week.
Damian Harris. Well,
and then he has Dallas, and then the Jets. He has and then Chargers. He has a nice 4 straight weeks here.
Yeah,
Damian's gonna blow up.
He's gonna get 20 carries for 100 yards, and he'll catch passes. Now he might catch 3 passes for 20 yards, and then score a touchdown. He'll do that for 2 weeks, and he'll train the Monstar for Najee and his whole team, and then you'll do something. I know what you're. I see.
We'll consolidate, but right now the depth feels really good to have, and I mean we have injuries and we still have depth.
I've been in enough leagues with Lippy, and so have you, enough to where like I can look at his team and I see what he's doing, and I know with the trade deadline and just with everything, I know there's more in the works, and this isn't his. He won't be taking this team into the playoffs. I am certain of it. It's a great team, but I know he'll move things around. So, I mean, Lippy's always in play. That's what's cool about him is he's unpredictable. So, I mean, we can't really look at this team and say, oh, this is a competing team because all we know is that he's above 500. He's plus 100 points in his division, and he's got very marketable assets, and that's all Lippy needs.
And we have a great matchup versus Jonah this week, and then we get Timo without Kamara. So unless Timo trades Kamara, we're probably looking at 5-1 going into Jihad week. But we won't have Josh Allen or Diggs that week.
I'm probably losing a loss to Ghali.
Yeah, so I mean 5-2, we'll be okay. Maybe 4-3 at worst.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way you drop the next 3 though. Although I would really like that. So I made some nice trades with Lippy for both of us. I think that it added to. I think
that Chubb trade was a no-brainer for you, Kittle too. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the trades for me now. Looking at kind of what's happened, and I even got a dud week out of Cup, but he still got 13 targets, so I'm not sweating. But
I mean, it's like I told. I mean, the trade for you at home was Ridley and Cup for Chubb. Yeah, and it's like I told I think Ghali when he said I was stupid. Ridley's really nice, but he's kind of just like Allen Robinson right now. Unless he gets some boom targets, he's going to put up 10, 15 points a week and maybe not much more. Cup's really good, and no one else in the league would have given me a better running back for what I offered. Not a single soul.
No.
So I got exactly what I could get for my offer.
I had running backs to hand out, and we handed them out. So, Curn, you seem to really hate Neal's team. Tell us why.
Well, all right, Neal. If you're listening this far, I love you, and I think your team's dope. It's just our matchup week, and when I'm matched up with you, I'm a seasoned vet. I get in the mode of it. It's like UFC, like I'm trying to rip your head off. So I look at your team, and all I see is trash. So I mean, your team's trash. Look, the thing about Ridley, and the thing about what's bringing Ridley down, what's bringing Pitts down, isn't Matt Ryan. It's the fact that this fucking albatross Cordero Patterson has gotten 7, 7, and 6 targets, all in like the red zone. But the problem is he's the frequency of these passes with like his snap count is like it's so frustrating enough. It's something. This is where you're going to see a colossal tank, and I don't know. I feel like you looking ahead, you say, "Oh, he's playing the Jets. It's going to be a prime spot for Cordero." You know, the fucking Swiss Army knife Patterson to go off. But I think this fucking albatross will walk in here with his 12 snaps and his 12 routes, and he'll catch maybe 2 of these passes instead for 50 yards. Maybe they're big chunks, but he's not going to score every fucking week again. 3 touchdowns. Like, he has fucking 5 touchdowns in 4 weeks. Cordero Patterson has been in the league since 2013. I'm just not fucking buying it. You cannot convince me that this dude is the real deal. I will not buy it. I've seen this too many times. I'm seasoned. I'm fucking know this shit ain't enough. I've been tricked by this shit too much. He's been in the league since 2013. Like, I was at summer camp then. This motherfucker is not it. I do not buy. Defenses will pick up on this shit so fast and be like, if you want to fucking try cute shit with Cordero Patterson in the fucking red zone, they will shut it down so fast. And I think that Salah with the Jets is key enough on defense to tune in. I'm not buying it. I think that Ridley will have better games ahead of him. I think Pitts will. I think this fucking science project is not going to be. It's going to be very short lived.
Now, Curn,
But
let me ask you about another running back that Neal has on his team. His name's Myles Gaskin, and the number
Did
one.
y'all see the snap count?
Yeah, it's tough.
that's
He's at
disgusting.
23% snaps. His highest for the year, 61. Curn, what do you think about Roto Baller's headline on the sleeper note saying Myles Gaskin looks invisible against Colts?
I mean, look, he's very foul. He's look. I don't think Myles Gaskin needs more than 5 seconds of airtime. The reality is that I can dog on Cordell Patterson all day, but I mean, he's had a very, very conservative run with Waller, and Waller is my love for Waller knows no bounds. He's a freak athlete. He's awesome. He's a focal point of the offense. He'll have his boom games, and he's going to be a top tight end. And I mean, with DK Metcalf, I mean, all you need is it's the jihad, template. You have a dope quarterback. You have a dope. I mean, Aaron Jones is awesome. I mean, Josh Jacobs is enough. And if you have DK Metcalf and you have Waller, and I mean, sure, if you get the fuck magic of Patterson every now and then, Neal, you have a pretty damn good team. I do not dislike your team at all. I think it's fine. I think it's a great team. You're 3-1. Kenny Galladay seems to be alive now. I mean, you have some issues with your flex, but like, who really cares when you have Darren Waller? So I mean, I'm not looking forward to playing you with DK Metcalf versus the Rams, but I also have Tyler Lockett versus the Rams, so let's fucking go. Let's watch Jalen Ramsey cover that ass, and hopefully he blankets DK Metcalf, and he's a little banged up, so maybe I get a boom Tyler Lockett game. I don't know. I mean, what do y'all think?
I think Neal's a lock for 8 wins, maybe 9 if he squeaks out another game, and he's going to be in the hunt for maybe a division, maybe a wild card, depending on that PF.
Neal, first of all, I want to say this is not personal. I think Neal is a great guy. I think he's always a gentleman. I think he's a learned scholar. But I think your team is going to fall apart so bad that we're already seeing the breaks in the dam. I mean, look. Let me just say this about Aaron Jones. I thought a few years ago when that dude had 47 fucking touchdowns or however many he had, that it was just a flash in the pan, and it was Aaron Jones is talented. But I think that they're going to start this. This is some tinfoil hattery right here. I think that AJ Dillon is going to start getting worked in more and more, and that Aaron Jones is going to get less and less work. And for some reason, these people think Randall Cobb is worth throwing to. And they're giving him looks. I just think that the Aaron Jones days of being a top 5 running back are gone. And he's still going to be great. Like, he's still going to be very good. But it's going to start. He's not going to be the Aaron Jones of last year and a few years prior. DK Metcalf,
We know ANF's hate for DK Metcalf.
It's not my hate for DK Metcalf because he's just
So
a
unwarranted.
physical specimen. He's incredibly
So
talented.
good.
He's so good at football, but I don't trust Pete Carroll. He chews too much gum. He believes in 9/11 conspiracy theories, and he loves running the football. These are things we know about Pete Carroll. So I don't trust that passing game. Myles Gaskin. I mean, you might as well just drop
It's
him.
basically dropping.
You might drop him. Mecole Hardman, really? I mean, Byron Pringle's probably a better start. Demarcus Robinson, probably a better start. Fuck, they just signed Josh Gordon. That's all you need to know about Mecole Hardman. They signed Josh Gordon, man. Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, Mecole's ugly.
Kenny Galladay, man.
Here's a fun fact about Neal's team, not to interrupt you, but I looked at his schedule, and one, he did play Monstar, or was it Timo? He played one of those two teams, so that's one of his wins.
He played Monstar.
And he has topped at 120 points in scoring so far, or 127, which isn't a bad score, but that's off of the week he did it. Aaron Jones scored almost 40,
Yeah.
and Bucks defense scored 20. That was the first week. And the second time it happened was this week, where Cordero fucking Patterson scored 3 touchdowns.
I mean,
I'm kind of with you, ANF. Neal, I love you. You have a good team. If I was you, this is a very high EV move. Take your Cordell Patterson and
shove it up your ass.
Sell high knowing that everyone knows you're selling high. I would still sell high. Like the fact that you go up to me
and sell higher than you should, even though everyone knows
you're selling high. Like, would you rather have Cordero Patterson or Miles Sanders? You could probably make that trade happen today. I would personally rather have Miles Sanders.
Shit.
I mean, call me crazy. I would.
I'd rather start Marshawn than either of them.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's what, like, look, like, granted, like, I talked a lot of shit on Dustin for his boom week, but he had Derrick Henry boom. Like, you expect that. You pay for Derrick Henry boom. Like, I had Tyreek Hill boom. You pay for that shit. If you're relying on Cordell Patterson to score 30 points for you to score 120 points, it just ain't it, dude. Like, it's not going to happen. So, Neal, I wish you all the luck. I don't buy the narrative that you're going to be in the wild card hunt. I'm coming for that juicy ass. I dare you to start that albatross against the Jets. It's a trap game, and I'm going to fucking snack on my second straight dub. It's going to be dope.
Neal, I've been very rude to you, but I really do hope you beat Curn. That will hurt my ability to make playoffs, but I really do hope you beat Curn because
notice the high EV play right here to have him not guess my lineup. Neal, you look at my lineup, you have no idea who I'm starting. It's completely in shambles. You think you're projected well? Who knows?
Curn, you're like those coaches that don't announce the starters. Okay, and let's real quick.
Matt Nagy.
Yeah, Matt Nagy.
Oh, yeah.
We've got 2 teams left. One of them is my team, coming off a beautiful, just entrancing win against Jack. What a beautiful team. MEH, it looks like he's back, baby. 2 fantastic weeks. Receiving touchdowns both weeks. He doesn't need rushing touchdowns. He catches receiving touchdowns. And I would argue, you take the touchdowns away, it's not as good, but there's short yardage touchdowns, and he still is a passable running back, even without those fucking touchdowns. Kareem Hunt, my boy, you're gone. You're not on my team anymore. Or excuse me, Nick Chubb, you're not on my team anymore. That's okay. I have Kareem Hunt. Baker loves giving the ball to Kareem Hunt. For some reason, they don't like Nick Chubb on third down.
Did y'all see the 6 straight goal line carries for him?
Yes, I did.
It was insane. I was watching because I was obviously playing Nick Chubb, and I was like, oh god, like, red zone alert, like, the Browns are in the red zone. I'm like, well, fuck me. Here comes Nick Chubb. He's going to get 5 touchdowns. And this was after fucking, God, David Montgomery had 3 touchdowns. I'm like, oh, Nick Chubb's about to give it to me. And then I look in there and I see those dreads. I'm like, those fucking dreads. Let's go. Look at those dreads. Get it, Kareem Hunt, baby.
Kareem Hunt, dude, exactly. I personally think it's criminal that Nick Chubb doesn't get those carries, but
I mean, he's going to get plenty of goal line carries. I mean, Nick Chubb's awesome. He's going to get his.
Nick Chubb is a god who is criminally
as someone
underrated.
who owns both of them in a dynasty league, they just swap off weeks. That's what you pay for. I mean, Nick Chubb's going to have games where, depending on game script, they'll put him in more, and then, I mean, he'll have a game where he has 25, 28 touches, and he'll break 2 30-yard runs. I mean, he's going to have like 30-point weeks. They'll come.
Calvin Ridley, shit ton of targets, no touchdowns, no problem. Dud week from Cup, no problem. Kittle, terrible week, no problem. No defense,
You still
no
beat
problem.
that
Yeah.
track.
Jacoby Myers is startable every week from now on, as far as I'm concerned. He plays Houston this week, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a streaming quarterback this year. Curn, I am locking in for way too much fab the Jacoby Myers and Macaroni Jones stack against Houston this week. So, word up to
I'll be
everyone.
honest, man. I'll be honest. I'm looking at your team, and look, Lippy, I know you're going to make 7 trades by next Thursday, so this has nothing to do with your current team. Just know that. But I think, ANF, you have the best team in this division right now, just looking at the people you own. So, I mean, I think the cream rises. I think you'll be fighting for the
wild card
front spot of this division with Lippy. Yeah, you'll be fighting for the wild card.
So it's tough, Curn. So look at the top end of his team. You'd rather have Josh Allen by a good margin over whoever he has. Chubb versus RB1.
Hey, Heineke can't be slept on. Let's calm down. But yeah, no, for sure.
You got to hit a home run with your pick. I mean, you got to have a great streaming week.
Yeah.
Chubb, you're going to want Chubb over your RB1, whoever you want to say it is.
That's correct.
Montgomery, you want Montgomery over your RB2. I mean, maybe you could argue the same, but Montgomery in a good matchup is such a smash.
I mean, is Montgomery healthy is a problem that you have.
I think Damian Williams is still fine.
He's going to be fine for 5 weeks. And then you got then we're talking Diggs versus Cup. I feel like Diggs is the answer. I mean, Cup's been awesome, but it's still going to get the nod to Diggs barely, but it's not much. And then you have the advantage going down from there. But AJ Brown versus your wide receiver 2, Ridley.
I
think that's a good matchup.
Maybe I just have better hopes for Ridley going forward. He has 1 touchdown to Cordell fucking Patterson with 7 touchdowns. I'm just not buying it. I'm just not buying it, boys. I'm not buying that shit. He's not going to be the focal point of the offense. That shit's going to go somewhere else. And I think it's going to go to this motherfucker and it's going to go to fucking Kyle Pitts. Anyway. But I don't know. I think that Ridley will get his. George Kittle hasn't even gone off yet. Just that nice spree of wide receiver 1 to even his flex is so. ANF, it looks very similar to mine. Give or take who you want to compare, who's better with Tyreek, Lockett, and all those guys, and Pitts. When you have that structural, it's just so nice to have a nice chunk of points come from there. It's
a nice looking team, man. Edmonds on the bench isn't the worst. Mooney, wow, the Mooney plan's happening. 125 yards on 5 catches.
16 points for Darnell Mooney. Crowder, 9 targets.
You've been a Crowder stan for a while, sir.
God, Cooper Kupp plays Seattle. Seattle might have the worst defense in the history of defenses. It's going to be a wonderful.
It's going to be a fun Thursday night.
Yeah.
I will say, ANF, and this is just next gen stats. Me looking at it, you'll see that CH's snaps have gone down progressively since week 1.
Considerably.
It's just considerably. If you think he'll average 7 yards a carry and 5 yards a carry, that's fine. He's caught 2 touchdowns. I think, but he is fine. He's serviceable, but this might be a good sell opportunity.
Curn, he's here for life. All right.
He's a great sell. I would totally package him up.
He's here for life. I will never trade him.
NF. Probably, I'll raise you this because 1, he's probably not listening anymore. He probably tuned off when I started talking about my team for way too long. But a high EV play would be to take CEH. And maybe take Jacoby Myers or
Neal. Wow.
Keep ball and take Ridley. Go after Neal for something, but you could go
Aaron
after
Jones,
CMC or Derrick Henry. How proud would that be?
Clyde is staying on the team for the perpetuity of this season. He is not leaving. He has been renamed to MEH.
You could go to Jonah, CEH, Ridley, and Kittle for CMC, and he'd accept right now, probably.
You probably could hold off on Kittle, too. You could probably just do fucking CH and Ridley. Just hey, I'll give you this. You can compete now with Lippy this week. And I'll be okay, cool, bet. And you get you can fucking just rock CM. Fucking put fucking Edmonds in, then, move your stars up a little bit. Your wide receivers, Jacoby Myers, and you start mooning your flex? Who cares? And then you wait. Oh, it's such a good dope play. Anyway, That's some free advice, ANF.
See,
Whether
the
you'll
problem
do it
is Corn Man is a very stubborn man. Is he gonna knowingly?
Yeah, we just talked about it. I mean, he's probably gonna listen to that and be like, "Nah, fuck that. I'm not gonna trade because now." I mean, it'll just be a funny meme if he actually made that trade.
If he loses this week, it's over. He needs to try and win this week, though.
I'm gonna hold
really
on
do
to Clyde.
that.
I'm going to hold on to Clyde, and he will be here if we are surrounded in golden trophies or dust and ash. But I am riding it out with Clyde, I think, because I don't think anyone is going to give him his trade due.
I offered you Ridley and Javante.
Like, I got Ridley anyway, so it's fine.
I mean, his value is a top 20 running back. I mean, but like now he's scored like top 10 running back points.
He doesn't have a rushing touchdown this season. And I have eaten Clyde's worst week of the season. Victory is assured for Clyde.
Yeah, he's just not good in the red zone. I owned him. He's such in the red zone.
Let's see. What I don't think we're realizing is James Conner is RB22. Clyde is RB21. Jonah could just offer James Conner for Clyde, and I mean that's a fair on paper. That's a fair That's a fair offer.
No one will give Clyde his fair due in a trade, so he stays put.
Can I hear what his fair due in the trade is, just for the people?
That's a need-to-know basis, and you do not need to know right now.
Would you take, just hypothetically, would you take Tyreek Hill for CEH? You would think about
that trade would be acceptable.
Okay, so you'd want an elite wide receiver for him.
I mean, that trade would be acceptable, is what I'll say.
Would you take DeAndre Hopkins for CEH?
That trade would be acceptable.
Okay. Would you take DK Metcalf for CEH?
No, DK Metcalf is on an unfortunate offense, and I hope that he gets traded.
Who else is there? Who are the leaders? Let's look at wide receivers. Would you take Deebo Samuel for CEH?
No.
There's Diggs. You wouldn't. There's Diggs.
I'd think about Diggs.
You think about Diggs?
You think about Diggs, but I mean DeAndre Hopkins is getting 20% of the targets. You're like, nah. I mean, yes. Ugh. DeAndre Hopkins is an easy no for CEH, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd probably rather have CEH over DeAndre Hopkins.
Look, the question is, Curn, would you take Jamison Crowder for JT?
Probably not. I'd probably fade that. I see a lot more upside in JT personally, but
Crowder Chowder is going to be elite. Let's wrap this up with Monstar. By the way, also, I should be 4-0. I have the most points against. We're literally unstoppable now, and we're winning out. Monstar. Tough week. Very tough week. Third jizz bump in a row. These things happen to nice people.
3 in a row.
Terrible.
The hat trick.
It's terrible. It's unfortunate. Najee looks like he is good at football, and he's getting hit by these players that Jonah talked about, but it seems to not be mattering. So, great pick in Najee. Like we were talking about with Tebow, and I had such a terrible last year. I think it's never totally true to do this. Like, it's never honest to do this, nor is it fun to put a nail in a coffin season. But is there a nail in Monstar's coffin this season?
Look at his schedule. He's 0-4 and he places Bevo. That's going to be a loss probably. Me, I'll take my team over him. Cornman with a healthy CMC. Dustin, Kcoles. He might beat other team in week 10. So he might be 0-9 against an 0-9 team. They might both be 0-9 going into each other week 10 for the first dub of the year.
That is so hateful.
And then ANF, he comes back after his outstanding win of 86-53 against Timo. He comes up and he faces Ghali in week 11, followed by you and Lippman, and then Cordell Patterson probably will have a 15-point game against him in
150-point game. Yeah.
Monstar, if you're listening, you are so painfully stubborn. Because I know you've had people in your DMs. You've had Lippman in your DMs. You've had me. I've offered you more than the amount of fair trades. The the problem with Monstar is
Talk about his trade he made.
He's gotten historically jammed. Well, he did make one good trade, and that was fine. But you need to keep when you're scoring this many points, Lippy. You have to do something like red alarm, like 2 back-to-back weeks. In week 3, I would be.
He did need to trade AJ Brown, and he did. I mean, he couldn't deal with having no AJ Brown for 4 weeks.
I mean, he made some trades,
will
but
be better.
He makes some very. I mean, like I would just. I don't know. I mean, like I guess he's made some trades, but I mean, I don't know.
He's trying. It's gonna click one year. It's gonna click, and we're all screwed.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to compete, I would definitely break down Najee for something big. Like maybe
he's not trading Najee for anything.
I guess you would just hold him. I mean, he's going to hold him and keep him next year. I might trade you Jalen Hurts after week 6, Monstar, so you can look forward to that. You'll need him. I would love for you to use him against my division mates week 7 through 9. So, fuck, I might even give you the stack after that. I have a plan where I might just fucking beef up Monstar's team and do what I can to try to get him to beat my fucking division because that'd be
very noble of you, Curn.
That'd be such a wrench. It'd be such a wrench in my division. Is like that's one thing that you can't recover from. Is like a very like an easy win just upsetting you like that. So that's how I could probably get the advantage if I give them all 3 straight dubs. But who knows?
Well,
Trey Lance might select.
I think it's going to be tough for Monstar, but I don't think it's over. It's just maybe close to over.
If Trey Lance comes out and I know he had one big blown play, but I mean, granted, he saw that play and he was able to get the air yards to throw it to him downfield. But I mean, I would hate it because Trey Lance would come out and score 50 points next week, and then I can't really trade him Jalen Hurts at this point. But I mean, but if he starts getting 50 points Trey Lance weeks with whatever, I mean, I don't know. He could. He scored 24 points in half a game of playing time. I mean, it's I think on his first official start, I mean, I think this guy, I fucking love Trey Lance so much. I hope I'm so right about him. He's so fucking good and such a good offense. It's the difference between starting from Matt Nagy and the Bears in that shit water, and then you're in Kyle Shanahan's offense surrounded by equity. So if Trey Lance goes off and Najee keeps going off and his wide receivers produce, I mean, he could get some wins. I mean, he's got a good team. Potentially.
Well, we'll see. I think that about wraps it up. Hopefully, we'll be back same time next week. Let's have some good weeks out there, gentlemen. Good luck to everybody. And
worst of luck to you, Corn Man.
Worst luck to Jonah.
Yeah, fuck you, Neal. I'm coming for that ass. Fuck you and Cordell Patterson. Let's go.
All right. Talk to y'all later.